After winning a gold medal for the United States at the 1996 Olympics, Kurt Angle began his journey towards professional wrestling. The road was not a smooth one, as Angle's initial interactions with the industry were far from positive. One infamous occurrence was Angle being witness to a live crucifixion at an ECW event. Now, that is a topic for another video, but today we're going to be taking a look back at Kurt Angle's 2001 autobiography, It's True, It's True, to determine just how Kurt Angle overcame having a 10-year contract offer rescinded in 1996 following his Olympic win, to meeting with Vince McMahon in 1998 and refusing to lose. Ever! Now, please stick around until the end of the passage because we're going to be discussing Angle's version of events, and then we're going to assess just how far Angle's career progressed from this rocky start to now being recognised as a Hall of Famer and all-time great. Dave kept working on me, telling me the World Wrestling Federation was the top organisation in the business, and I could be a star there. Finally, one night in October of 1998, I turned on Raw is War, and nobody was being hung from a crucifix or anything. It was just great entertainment, and more athletic than I'd ever realised. I was watching those guys thinking, damn, these guys are good athletes. Why does anyone have a problem with this? I kinda like it. So I started watching regularly, and after a month I was addicted. I saw how the matches were built around storylines to get people interested in the characters, not just the matches themselves. The more I watched, the more I felt like I could make the transition and be good at it. For all the problems I had on TV with Fox, I had fun as a reporter. I don't mind making fun of myself for a story. I did some on-camera gags when I was giving out our local Athlete of the Week award, and people thought I was funny. So I knew I had the personality to entertain people, and started thinking I wanted to do that again. At that point, it would have been hard for me to go back to coaching wrestling and walk away from the spotlight completely. I'd become accustomed to being a celebrity, and I wanted to find a way to continue living that life. So I called the World Wrestling Federation. The phone call to the WWF didn't go exactly as I'd hoped. It wasn't like they said, Kurt who? But the 2 years it took me to get back to them had definitely stolen some of my clout. When I got through to the talent managers, Jim Ross and to Bruce Pritchard, I tried to sell myself like it was still 1996, but they weren't buying it. They probably had a good laugh when I asked if the contract they had offered me 2 years earlier was still good. They told me I'd have to try out now, and prove I deserved a shot. That's fine, I said, as long as you understand, I'm an Olympic gold medalist, and if I join, I have to win. I don't lose for anybody. At that point, I'm sure they were rolling their eyes, thinking I was an idiot with a runaway ego. I didn't understand how the World Wrestling Federation worked at the time. All I knew was that I was the best wrestler in the world, and I wasn't about to come in and get my ass kicked in the ring. Sure, kid, sure, they said. We'll be in touch. 2 weeks went by and I didn't hear from them. So I called back. They said they were very busy, but I was determined now to get my shot. I told them I really wanted to come up and try out. Finally, they agreed to bring me in for a look. They were having training camps 1 week a month in Stamford, Connecticut, where they're always looking for new talent. They get as many as 2,000 calls a month from guys looking to break into the business. A lot of guys at these camps have been around for years, performing in independent shows around the country, looking for a break to get into the big time. So I made plans to go to the training camp run by the World Wrestling Federation talent coaches Tom Pritchard and Dory Funk Jr. But, as the time got near, I wasn't real comfortable about my decision. My manager, Dave Hawk, came with me to Stamford to ease some of the strain and advised me just in case they wanted to sign a deal. I didn't want an agent, but I did want someone there that I trusted. The World Wrestling Federation doesn't like to work with agents, and I don't blame them. They like to have a family-orientated business where both sides work with a certain amount of trust, but I knew that Dave was there to make sure that I was treated fairly. We roomed together in Stamford, and though the other guys never told me at the time, they thought we were gay. Dave would run errands for me. It's funny as hell to think back on it because Dave was running around doing everything for me there. He'd make my protein shakes, rub down my neck, he was doing my laundry. He just wanted me to feel better about being there because I was pretty uncomfortable about it. At the same time, he was trying to work the Ostrom deal with the World Wrestling Federation, so everybody thought Dave and I were gay, which would have been quite a shock to my fiancée at the time, Karen, and to Dave's wife, Tracy. But Dave didn't stay long. Even though everything was new to me, the bumps, the falls, I picked up everything so quickly that I blew them away with my tryout. On my second day there, Jim Ross signed me to a 5-year deal. I've been told they've never done that with anybody else, and I'm sure the gold medal was a factor, but I know they saw a lot of talent in me. So Dave went home, and I went to Boston to be a part of an untelevised show on my 4th day there. It's unheard of for someone to be put into a match after only 3 days in the business, but they let me do it because I picked up on everything so quickly. They couldn't believe how natural I was, not only with the moves, but the selling, the way you react when you're taking slams, punches, and kicks. So, on the 4th day I'd ever worked for the World Wrestling Federation, they had me in a match with a kid named Christian, who's now one of the top World Wrestling Federation stars. Okay, so I am going to hold it there because Kurt does start to go into some detail about that first match with Christian, and some of the early issues that he had to overcome, such as being close to deaf in his left ear, which meant that he couldn't hear his opponents trying to communicate with him in the ring and often missed it when they were trying to call spots. He also doesn't note here whether he won or lost this first match with Christian, but it is fascinating to see that over 20 years later, just how far Kurt came, and how quickly, to be honest, he understood and in many ways perfected the art of professional wrestling. I also agree with his recollection that no one has ever come along and immediately had that kinetic ability to sell or react and respond so smoothly and so authentically. Kurt was always amazing to watch, no matter what he was doing. So really, our theory of the day is, what would we have been deprived of if Kurt hadn't been so persistent in trying to get to the WWF that second time around? And also, what if Vince McMahon and The Office completely disregarded him because of Kurt's naivety? I can't really see many other people being given an opportunity after flat out refusing to be beat. If you haven't read Kurt's book, It's True, I can highly recommend it. There are some brilliant insights into what it's like to persevere, learn on your feet, admit when you're wrong, and really just make things happen for yourself through sheer determination of will. He also has such a unique perspective as he's one of the most successful athletes to ever transition to professional wrestling, rather than it being a lifelong ambition. So, as always, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I want to know your thoughts on Kurt's, let's say, bumpy start to the business, as well as some of your favourite angle moments from his over 20-year career. But until next time, this has been 1-4 Theory, where we smarten up and smack down.